For over half a century, the skies have belonged to two giants, Boeing and Airbus. They've defined what it means to fly, shaping the modern aviation industry with every transatlantic dream and global connection. Their planes dominate airports, their logos are instantly recognizable, and their technology has set the standard for safety and speed. But now, on the horizon, a new contender is rising. Not quietly, not subtly, but boldly. China isn't just trying to catch up. It's staging an aerial revolution. Enter COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, and its most ambitious project yet, the wide-body C929. Powered by a homegrown engine, the CJ, modern and unapologetically Chinese, this plane isn't just another jetliner, it's a statement, a geopolitical gamble, and a bold challenge to a duopoly that once seemed untouchable. Can COMAC truly compete with the giants of Seattle and Toulouse? Will the C929 soar or stall? Let's find out. The story begins in 2008, amid global financial chaos. Lehman Brothers had collapsed, airlines were cutting routes, grounding fleets, and bracing for survival. And yet, in the quiet corridors of Shanghai, China quietly launched COMAC. Its mission was audacious: break the Western duopoly of Boeing and Airbus. The company started humbly. Its first aircraft, the ARJ-21, a 90-seat regional jet, was unremarkable at first glance. The program faced structural issues, software bugs, engine integration problems, and repeated delays. International critics dismissed it as a toy project, or worse, a copycat effort. But China didn't flinch. Every setback was a lesson. Every failure became data. COM wasn't racing to beat Boeing overnight, it was building industrial sovereignty, wind tunnels, testing centers, simulation software, and a workforce capable of thinking, designing, and executing independently. All were being constructed quietly, almost invisible. By the early 2010s, the ARJ-21 entered service with Chinese airlines, functional, reliable, but unglamorous. The world barely noticed. Yet, behind the scenes, China was laying the foundation for something far larger. The quiet success of the ARJ-21 set the stage for COMAC's bold next move, a wide-body aircraft capable of spanning continents. Boeing had the 777, Airbus had the A350, both champions of long-haul flight. COMAC's answer was the C929, developed in partnership with Russia's United Aircraft Corporation. This twin-aisle jet was designed for 250 to 350 passengers, aiming squarely at the high-stakes long-haul market, Beijing to San Francisco, Shanghai to London. At first, the partnership showed promise. China brought funding and industrial momentum. Russia brought engineering experience from its Soviet-era aerospace legacy. The world watched, intrigued but skeptical. Could this East-East alliance shake the foundations of a Western-dominated market? By 2023, cracks began to appear. Western sanctions in response to global geopolitical tensions strained cooperation. Technology sharing became politically risky, and trust between the two nations frayed. Many expected the C929 to fail before it even left the drawing board. But China didn't hesitate. COMAC took full control, turning the project into a solo mission. Riskier, but far more consequential: no more co-pilots, no more divided decisions. The message to Boeing and Airbus was clear. China wasn't coming to play, it had arrived. On the surface, the C929 looks like any other modern wide-body jet. Sleek, twin-engine, long sweeping wings. But this is no ordinary airliner. It's a technological milestone, built from advanced composite materials, optimized for aerodynamics, and designed to reduce cabin noise and vibration. Passenger experience is key. The C929 can seat 250 to 350 people. With flexible configurations, a high-density economy layout, a balanced mix of business and economy for premium routes, or even first-class luxury for long-haul flights. Lower cabin altitude, improved pressurization, and quieter engines promise a smoother ride, rivaling the comfort of a Boeing 787 or Airbus A350. Cost is another weapon. The C929 is expected to be 15 to 20% cheaper than its Western counterparts, making it an attractive option for carriers in emerging markets who face budget constraints and export restrictions. For decades, China leased its aircraft propulsion from the West. The C919, for example, relied on the CFM LEAP 1C engine, a French-American design. This dependency was risky, especially amid rising tensions between Beijing and Washington. Enter the CJ100, a China's homegrown engine, developed by the Aero Engine Corporation of China, generating 31,000 pounds of thrust with a cutting-edge titanium fan and next-gen turbine technology. This engine is China's declaration of independence in aviation. With rigorous flight testing underway, full certification is expected by 2025. If successful, China can fly without Western permission. Truly sovereign from nose to the path isn't easy. COMAC faces production hurdles. A backlog of over 1,500 C919 orders already stretches resources. International certification is another mountain: FAA in the US, EASA in Europe. Geopolitics plays a role too, with rising tensions, trade wars, and doubts about Chinese safety standards. Trust is fragile. Airlines won't gamble on promises alone. Reliability, maintenance, pilot training, and passenger confidence must be proven. Meanwhile, Boeing and Airbus won't sit idle. They have decades of credibility, extensive support networks, and the ability to innovate faster than a newcomer. Yet COMAC has advantages no Western competitor can ignore. China's domestic market is colossal, projected to surpass the US by 2030. Government support, subsidies, and Buy China policies guarantee a base of loyal customers. Emerging markets in Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia offer affordable alternatives where brand prestige is secondary. The C929 is flexible and customizable, capable of adapting to airlines' diverse needs from dense economy flights to luxury long-haul layouts. Vertical integration, local suppliers, and state-backed coordination allow COMAC to offer competitive pricing and quick response times, making it a disruption-ready business model. The C929 isn't just a plane, it's a geopolitical statement. Western resistance is real. Export restrictions, certification delays, media skepticism. But every challenge only strengthens COMAC's narrative. This is a project about sovereignty, resilience, and national pride. China doesn't need to dominate the West immediately. Success at home and in emerging markets is enough to build credibility and momentum. Every flight, every delivery, every certification becomes proof of a new global contender in aviation, a genuine third pillar to challenge. Boeing and Airbus. The duopoly that once ruled the skies is no longer untouchable. COMAC doesn't have to beat Boeing overnight. Persistence, strategy, and scale are enough. The C929 represents more than engineering, it's a symbol of China's technological ambition, industrial maturity, and geopolitical influence. The question now isn't whether the C929 will fly, it's whether the world will accept a new pillar in global aviation, and the next time you board an international flight, you might just be flying on a plane that proudly says, "Made in China." That, my friends, would be the For over half a century, the skies have belonged to two giants, Boeing and Airbus. From transatlantic dreams to global dominance, these aerospace titans have shaped the modern aviation industry. Their wide bodies connect continents, their logos dominate airports, and their technology defines safety, speed, and supremacy. But now, on the eastern horizon, a new contender emerges. Not quietly, but boldly, backed by the ambitions of a superpower. China isn't just playing catch-up, it's staging an aerial revolution. Enter COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China, and its most daring creation yet. The wide-body C929, powered by the self-developed ZJ1000A engine. It's sleek, it's modern, it's Chinese, and it just might shatter a duopoly that once seemed unshakable. This isn't just a new jetliner, it's a national statement, a geopolitical gamble, a high-stakes bet on self-reliance, innovation, and the future of flight. Can COMAC truly challenge the giants of Seattle and Toulouse? Will the C929 soar or stall? Strap in as we dive deep into one of the most audacious stories in the history of aviation. The year was 2008. Wall Street was melting. Lehman Brothers had collapsed. Airlines across the globe were cutting routes, grounding fleets, embracing for survival. Amid this global turbulence in the quiet corridors of Shanghai, a very different kind of launch was taking place. One that didn't make international headlines, but would one day threaten to reshape them. China formally introduced COMAC, the Commercial Aircraft Corporation of China. A bold new venture created not just to build aircraft, but to rewrite the rules of global aviation. Its mission was nothing short of revolutionary. Break the Western duopoly of Boeing and Airbus. For decades, these two giants had dictated what the world flew, how far it flew, and how much it paid to do so. Every jetliner from Johannesburg to Jakarta, from Dubai to Denver, bore the seal of Seattle or Toulouse. COMAC was China's answer, and it began humbly. Their first aircraft, the ARJ-21, was a 90-seat regional jet, small, clunky, and to many in the industry, forgettable. It took 8 long years to go from first flight to commercial service. There were issues, structural problems, test flight failures, software bugs, and engine integration mishaps. International critics wrote it off. A toy project, some muttered. Copycat engineering, said others. But China wasn't listening. It was learning. Every bug was a lesson. Every delay, a data point. COMAC's engineers, many of them fresh graduates, some trained in Western universities, others in domestic labs, were absorbing the language of aerospace. They weren't racing Boeing. They were studying them. The goal wasn't overnight success. It was industrial sovereignty. COMAC wasn't built to manufacture planes. It was built to build an ecosystem. Suppliers, testing centers, wind tunnels, simulation software, and most importantly, a workforce that could think, design, and execute on its own. While the world mocked the ARJ-21, China was building the infrastructure for the future, and that future was arriving fast. By the early 2010s, the ARJ-21 had quietly entered service, mostly with Chinese airlines. It wasn't glamorous, but it was functional. The real bombshell, though, came with COMAC's next ambition, a wide-body aircraft. The kind that connects continents, not cities. The world already had its champions, the Boeing 77, known for its brute power and long-haul dominance. The Airbus A350, sleek and efficient, loved by both passengers and pilots. COMAC's answer to these titans was unveiled with a global handshake. The C929, born from a joint venture between China's COMAC and Russia's United Aircraft Corporation. The C929 was a twin-aisle aircraft designed to seat 250 to 350 passengers. The goal was clear, not just to compete, but to capture a slice of the long-haul pie. Routes that spanned oceans from Beijing to San Francisco, from Shanghai to London. For a while, the East Meets East partnership showed promise. China brought funding, industrial momentum, and a growing aviation market. Russia brought legacy aerospace experience from Soviet-era jets and engineering prowess. The world watched with a mix of skepticism and curiosity, but by 2023, the alliance began to fray. Western sanctions imposed in response to global geopolitical tensions and Russia's military actions threw the partnership into chaos. Political pressure mounted. Technology sharing became a liability, and trust it cracked under the weight of conflicting ambitions. Russia withdrew. Many expected the C929 to die in the cradle, but China didn't blink. Instead of collapsing, COMAC took full control. The C929 became China's solo mission, a riskier, bolder, and far more consequential endeavor. No longer diluted by dual leadership, the project became a test of China's technological maturity, its engineering backbone, and its global aspirations. No more co-pilots. China was in the captain's seat now, and the message to Boeing and Airbus was loud and clear. We're not coming. We've arrived. On the surface, the COMAC C9 to the 9th of May resemble any other wide-body jet. A sleek twin-engine aircraft with long sweeping wings and a modern aerodynamic frame. But look closer, and it becomes clear, this is not just another airliner. This is China's boldest leap into global aviation, a technological and symbolic milestone wrapped in composite materials and national ambition. The C929 is designed to seat between 250 and 350 passengers depending on how the airline configures it. For high-density budget airlines, it can pack in rows of economy seats stretching across the cabin. But for premium routes, think Beijing to Paris or Shanghai to Dubai, the aircraft offers flexibility. It can be reconfigured to include lie-flat business class suites, spacious lavatories, and perhaps even first-class innovations to rival those found on Emirates or Singapore Airlines. In essence, the aircraft is built to serve both ends of the aviation spectrum, the cost-sensitive and the comfort-obsessed. But the real promise of the C929 lies not in how many people it can carry, but in how it carries them. COMAC claims that the aircraft will offer a smoother, quieter ride, thanks to a blend of next-generation composite materials, optimized aerodynamics, and an airframe built to reduce cabin noise and vibrations. The fuselage and wings are expected to use lightweight carbon fiber extensively, reducing overall weight and increasing fuel efficiency. And in terms of passenger comfort, features like lower cabin altitude and improved pressurization are said to be in the plans, offering travelers a more relaxing experience on long-haul flights. If realized, these enhancements would bring the C929's cabin experience in line with Western competitors like the Boeing 787 Dreamliner or Airbus A350. And then there's the price. COMAC isn't trying to outdo Boeing and Airbus on prestige alone. It's coming for their market share with one of the oldest weapons in business: cost competitiveness. The C929 is expected to be significantly cheaper than its Western counterparts, potentially 15 to 20% lower in unit cost. In a world where profit margins are razor-thin and recovery from the pandemic has left airlines more cautious about big investments, this lower price point could be a gamica for many carriers in the global south, nations in Africa, Southeast Asia, South America, or even emerging Middle Eastern markets. A reliable long-haul aircraft that's affordable and outside the reach of Western export controls offers both economic and geopolitical freedom. Yet, for all its strengths on paper, the C929 doesn't come without a critical caveat: range. The aircraft's projected maximum range is approximately 6,500 nautical miles. A respectable figure, but one that trails its closest competitors. For context, the Boeing 7878 can fly 7,350 nautical miles, and the Airbus A350 pushes even further to 8,300 nautical miles. That extra 1,000 miles might not sound like much to a casual traveler, but in the high-stakes world of aviation logistics, it can be strategic gold. That extra stretch of sky is the difference between flying non-stop from Beijing to New York, or being forced to land in Anchorage, Alaska for refueling. It could mean avoiding costly stopovers, passenger inconvenience, or simply being outbid by more capable competitors on key international routes. Still, COMAC isn't trying to win every battle. It's trying to win markets that Boeing and Airbus often overlook. The Middle East or Africa rarely need ultra-long-range aircraft. For them, a comfortable, modern, and affordable widebody that can handle regional or medium long-haul missions is more than enough. And if the C929 lives up to even 80% of its promises, it could be the preferred choice for dozens of carriers tired of being priced out of Western aircraft catalogs or restricted by US export controls and politics. In the end, the C929 isn't just a plane, it's a strategic tool, a diplomatic lever, and a proof of concept for China's aerospace independence. For the first time in history, the global duopoly in wide-body aviation has a serious challenge arising not from Seattle or Toulouse, but from the heart of Shanghai. For all the ambition behind COMAC's aircraft, there's been one quiet truth lurking beneath the surface. You can't truly fly free if your engine is leased. And for decades, that's exactly what China's commercial aviation program has done. Lease its propulsion power from the West, Enter the CJ1.000 AA. To rip